Hi, welcome back to Creative Zone. In this video I wanted to share with you some printing on the gel plate, specifically for layering on this canvas. It's almost complete and I'm wanting to do some darker and more organic kind of layers over what you can see here at the moment. And so in the video I share how I use the tissue paper, how I utilise the crinkling of the tissue paper rather than trying to keep the tissue paper straight and flat, and we will see how that unfolds and turns out. So let's get started and I'll see you at the end of the video. So I've got my large gel plate out for this project, and this is the Hydrocryl Prussian blue, very dark, beautiful blue that I'm going to use. This is my Brayer, looking a bit worse for wear, and a scraper that I want to use on the gel plate at some point. And then I'm using a variety of other mark making tools. So I've got some corrugated cardboard, one of those squishy things that they have around fruit, and this little piece of packing foam that I've cut up, and I'm looking forward to seeing the patterns that will make. Some of the other paints I'm going to be using are the golden Paynes grey and ultramarine blue, and I'm using the Sonja Dioxazine purple, the Atelier Artic Blue, and the Matisse Phthalo green. So I'm just putting a little bit of the Prussian blue on the plate with my knife, and then I'm going to add, it's quite a thick paint. I'm also going to be using this bamboo cloth and a medium-sized paintbrush, a flat head. I'm wanting some texture on the plate, so I'm not using my Brayer just at the moment, just getting some lines, because it's going to be on the canvas, I'm wanting, or some part of the paper, the tissue paper is going to be on the canvas, I'm wanting to get some nice scratchy and painterly like marks onto the paper. This made a very interesting bubble-like print on the paper when I finally took it up. Trying to focus it so that you can see with the camera. It's almost like a crackle type effect. There you go, that's the sort of bubble pattern on the bottom of it. And this is just the corrugated cardboard. I find with the corrugated cardboard it takes quite a lot of paint off of the gel plate. And now I'm just using, so the tissue paper that I'm using is from parcels that I've received. So it's the wrapping, the tissue paper that they use wrapping products. And I'm wanting the folded lines and the crinkles in the tissue paper to stay. Using the Dioxazine purple. It was a new tube, and when I opened it, it just squirted everywhere, so I had to do a little bit of clean up. Nice to see them filling their tubes to the full amount. And this is the Matisse Phthalo green. And a little bit more of the Hydrocryl Prussian blue. As you can see, I'm using my Brayer for this, and the Prussian blue is clumping a little bit. However, I left some of it. It's giving lots of really dense dark patches, so I'll just see how that comes out. Loving the blend of these colours though, just gorgeous. And this gives an interesting pattern on the plate. I've sped up the video where I'm obviously waiting for the gel plate to dry a little bit, just so that it doesn't lengthen the video to something that people don't have the time to watch. And I find this tissue paper very strong, so I'm just pulling very gently with one hand and it just peels away. I'm really liking those organic patterns through the paint, and even what's left on the gel plate. So unfortunately my Paynes grey is coming to the end of its life, having to really shake to get some out on the plate. But I also really love that dense grey-blue colour. It's very hot here, I might add. We're 41 degrees and 39 degrees, those kind of temperatures, which is about 102 Fahrenheit. So the paint is drying very quickly on the plate, and so I'm adding a little bit of the liquid ultramarine blue here just to add some colour, but also to add some moisture to the plate before pulling it with the other colours on it. I'm using the first the first print that I did, because I feel like there's too much of the white tissue paper still showing through, and I would like a little more dense for what I'm looking for on the canvas. You know, the final product that I want on the canvas, the final result. So I'm much happier with this. And there's a lot more texture and colour and pattern through it. Just using the tip of the knife, but I'm not pressing into the gel plate. So this is one way of getting a scribble pattern across the plate, and it doesn't damage the gel plate as long as you don't push into the gel plate. It works just like a scraper. Now, the reason I'm wanting a lot of these creases and folds to stay on the paper is because I'm looking for sort of vegetation, the appearance of vegetation, spinifex, maybe trees, skinny scrub bushes for the bottom part of the painting. And I feel like this really helps with how it turns out on the tissue paper. So I'm just adding a lighter colour here. This is the Artic Blue. And I quite like the indentations that the Brayer is making. So I'm just doing a little bit more and leaving those. And so as you can see, this is picking up some of the leftover paint that was on the gel plate, a little bit of the phthalo green in patches, and some of the purple. However, that lighter Arctic blue has also shown up under those prints, which is what I was looking for. A little more contrast is a good thing. This is the Ultramarine blue. by golden. Now I'm coming in with the scraper that I showed you and just taking off columns of paint. And I like that a lot. I think this is one of my favourites. So hopefully I'll be able to use some of that in places. Loving that pattern and just how the paint is coming through on those columns as well. Little dense piece of paint I just wanted to rub off. A little more of the Hydrocryl Prussian blue. Some of the golden Paynes grey. And a little bit of the Artic Blue. The Artic Blue is by Atelier, and these are interactive acrylics, so they take a bit longer to dry, although, as I said, because of the hot weather here, the paint is still drying fairly quickly. The interactives are quite thick and buttery. I enjoy using them a lot, and they are similar in consistency, I would say, to oils, and you can work with them for a long time, usually on the canvas, when you're working with them alone on their own. However, because I'm using them here on the gel plate for prints, and I'm not putting a lot on, they dried fairly quickly. So I've left this one not being sped up, so you can actually see the length of time that I'm leaving the tissue paper on the gel plate before I take the paper off. This had a really reminded me of a lightning storm almost, and I'm doing just a plate with the phthalo green on now. I decided to do one colour pools just to get some rich colours rather than blending them all together. And that will give me more choices to what I'm putting on the canvas, and also matching in with other things that are already down on the canvas. the canvas is mostly collaged fabric, and I'll be showing that in my next video. So the tissue paper did tear a little bit in the top right hand corner as I was peeling it off, but I just very carefully pulled some of that back, and the rest of it came away in one piece. So you can see the hole in the top left there. But I really love that print. It came out beautifully with all those white lines through it. So coming to the end of the video now. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and in my next video I'll be sharing how I'm going to be using these. This is the Sonja Dioxazine Purple. The other thing you can do is use the brayer, what's left on the brayer, to rub off directly onto tissue paper that you have next to you. And that also, if you don't flatten the tissue paper, also gives a good coverage, and you get a lot of the crinkled line effects in it. Showing you how some of them turned out now that they're a little drier. I think that's still my favourite. Thanks for watching this video, and if you'd like to see how I use these gel prints on tissue paper to create some more darker organic layers at the bottom of this canvas, then please subscribe or click the notifications button, and you'll be able to see it in my next video. Ciao for now.